My weird old neighbor does not want me to see him. The moving truck groaned its last as it settled outside my new house. 27 years, a failed engagement, and a soul-crushing office job later, I was officially a suburban homeowner. The air smelled like freshly cut grass and quiet desperation, exactly what I needed. Emily from next door bounded over as I wrestled a box labeled Kitchen Chaos off the ramp. "Welcome to the neighborhood, I'm Emily. Need a hand?" She was sunshine personified, a stark contrast to my mood. "Sarah," I managed, grunting, and yes, please, I think my spine is about to stage a revolt. Emily's enthusiasm was infectious, and soon the first wave of boxes was inside. As I wiped sweat from my brow, I noticed an elderly man peering out from behind the lace curtains of the house to my left. He quickly ducked back, the curtain falling into place like a theatrical flourish. "That's Mr. Abernathy," Emily said, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "He keeps to himself. Been here for ages, though. Some say he's a bit eccentric." I chuckled. Eccentric is fine by me. I'm pretty sure my dating history qualifies as performance art. The next few days were a blur of unpacking and IKEA instructions. I worked from home, designing websites for small businesses. The quiet neighborhood was a balm to my frayed nerves. I liked the rhythm of the place, the predictable routines of dog walkers and lawnmowers. But Mr. Abernathy remained an enigma. Whenever I was outside, I'd catch glimpses of him, always from behind a window or a quickly closed door. He seemed to actively avoid being seen. One afternoon, as I watered the sad excuse for a rose bush in my front yard, I saw him emerge from his house. He was hunched over, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. As soon as he saw me, he froze, his body tensing. Then, with surprising speed for a man his age, he scurried back inside, slamming the door behind him. The force of the slam rattled the windows. It was odd, unsettling even, but I chalked it up to old age and social anxiety. I had enough of my own baggage to unpack without adding Mr. Abernathy's to the pile. That night, I woke to a strange sound. It was muffled, rhythmic, like a dull thumping coming from next door. I sat up in bed, listening intently. It went on for about an hour, then stopped as abruptly as it started. The next morning, I called my brother, Mark. He was a practical, no-nonsense kind of guy, the opposite of me in almost every way. "So this old guy next door," I said, trying to sound casual, "he's acting kind of weird." "Weird how?" Mark asked, his voice skeptical. I explained about Mr. Abernathy's avoidance, the strange noises, the feeling that I was being watched. Mark sighed. "Sarah, you just moved in. You're probably just stressed. Maybe you're hearing things." "Maybe," I said, unconvinced. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences continued. I noticed that Mr. Abernathy only seemed to come out at night, always shrouded in darkness. He'd tend to his garden, meticulously pruning and weeding under the cover of darkness, wearing gloves even in the humid summer air. His garden, once overgrown and neglected, was now disturbingly perfect. The plants were arranged in neat rows, the soil meticulously raked. It looked less like a garden and more like a display. One evening, I saw a delivery truck pull up to Mr. Abernathy's house. The driver, a young man with a nervous demeanor, seemed reluctant to approach the house. He rang the doorbell, waited a few seconds, then left the package on the porch and practically sprinted back to his truck. The next day, I saw the same driver making a delivery across the street. I flagged him down. "Excuse me," I said, "I saw you delivering a package to Mr. Abernathy's house yesterday. Was everything okay?" He hesitated, looking uncomfortable. "Yeah, everything was fine, just the place gave me the creeps, you know. The windows were all covered up and there was this smell like something rotting. I just wanted to get out of there." My unease intensified. I started keeping a journal, documenting everything I saw and heard. The thumping noises, the late-night gardening, the fleeting glimpses of Mr. Abernathy's shadowy figure. Emily, always eager to gossip, fueled my anxieties. "You know, there were rumors about Mr. Abernathy even before I moved here. Something about a girl who disappeared years ago. They never found her." I dismissed it as neighborhood folklore, but the seed of suspicion had been planted. One night I saw Mr. Abernathy burying something large in his garden. It was late, the moon hidden behind thick clouds. I watched from my window as he struggled to dig a hole, his frail body silhouetted against the dim glow of his porch light. He wrestled a large, heavy object into the hole, then quickly covered it with dirt. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know what was going on. The next day, Mr. Abernathy was gone. His car, a beat-up old sedan, was missing from the driveway. It was my chance. I waited until dusk, then slipped through the gap in the bushes that separated our properties. The back door to his house was unlocked, or maybe just not properly shut. My heart pounded in my chest as I crept inside. The house was eerily silent. The air was thick with dust and a faint, cloying odor. The furniture was old and worn, covered in plastic. There were no personal touches, no photographs, no mementos. It felt like a stage set, a place designed to be inhabited but not lived in. I searched the house room by room, finding nothing but more dust and silence. Then in the basement, I found it. A hidden room concealed behind a false wall. Inside, the air was colder, heavier. The room was lit by a single bare bulb, casting long, distorted shadows. The walls were lined with shelves, filled with disturbing objects. There were old newspaper clippings detailing the disappearance of several young women over the past few decades. There were strange medical instruments, their surfaces stained with rust, and there were photographs, dozens of them arranged in a disturbing mosaic. They were all of women, their eyes wide with terror, their mouths gagged. My stomach churned. I wanted to scream, but I was paralyzed with fear. Then I saw it. A journal bound in faded leather. I picked it up, my hands trembling. The handwriting was spidery and erratic, filled with rambling thoughts and disturbing descriptions of rituals. The entries became increasingly disturbing, hinting at some kind of dark obsession, a twisted desire to preserve beauty. I heard a car pull into the driveway. Mr. Abernathy, panic seized me. I scrambled to put the journal back, but it slipped from my grasp, falling to the floor with a thud. I barely had time to escape. I slipped out of the hidden room, replaced the false wall, and fled the house, my heart pounding in my ears. Back in my own house, I collapsed onto the couch, shaking uncontrollably. I knew I had to call the police. Detective Miller arrived a few hours later, a middle-aged man with a weary expression. I told him everything about Mr. Abernathy's strange behavior, the unsettling noises, the hidden room, the photographs, the journal. He listened patiently, taking notes, but I could see the skepticism in his eyes. "And you're sure about all this, MS Jones?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "I saw it, detective. I was there. You have to believe me." The police searched Mr. Abernathy's house the next day. They found nothing. The hidden room was gone. The photographs, the instruments, the journal all vanished. Detective Miller told me they couldn't find any evidence of wrongdoing. Mr. Abernathy, when questioned, denied everything. He claimed I was delusional, that I had broken into his house and imagined the whole thing. I felt like I was losing my mind. Mark came to visit, his face etched with worry. "Sarah, you need to get out of here. This place is messing with your head." "I can't, Mark," I said, my voice trembling. "I have to know what's going on. I have to know what happened to those women." I started digging into the history of the town, poring over old newspaper archives and library records. I discovered a series of similar disappearances dating back decades, all unsolved, all linked to the area where Mr. Abernathy's house stood. Then Emily disappeared. She vanished without a trace. No note, no explanation. Her car was still in her driveway, her purse and phone on the kitchen counter. I knew with a chilling certainty that Mr. Abernathy was responsible. I had to confront him. I staked out his house, waiting for an opportunity. I watched him from my window, his shadowy figure moving through the darkness. Late one night, I saw him leave the house, carrying a large, heavy bag. He walked towards the woods behind his property, his movements slow and deliberate. I followed him, my heart pounding in my chest. He stopped in a secluded clearing, a place hidden deep within the trees. He began to dig a hole, his frail body straining with effort. I watched as he wrestled the bag into the hole, then covered it with dirt. I couldn't stay silent any longer. I stepped out of the shadows. "Mr. Abernathy," I said, my voice trembling, "what have you done?" He turned to face me, his eyes filled with an unnerving intensity. He smiled, revealing a set of strangely filed teeth. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice surprisingly strong. "Now you know too much." He lunged at me. I screamed.